Alright, sound, video, and coming back online. There we go. World took a second to fully initialize. Right, so we're looking for Coco, and I still need the Avitas constellation to be in the sky. We're not just going to hang around here and wait for the correct constellation. So I'm just going to head off. Find a jungle, find that Coco, and hopefully the stars will align by the time we get back. With that mission statement out of the way, welcome once again to Minecraft 1.12.2 Legacy, featuring Mind Fantasy Reforged, Ember Forge, which we still haven't gotten into Embers with that, and Astral Sorcery as our primary showcases. Surprise creeper, directly in the face. This dragon-forged halberd looks like exactly the damage boost I wanted. Because now I don't have to crit some things, at least to one-shot them. A little bit of wool, because I don't remember what my wool supply looks like. Uh-oh. Where's that witch? You're not a witch. I definitely heard a witch drinking a potion. There it is. Bam. Some clay wouldn't be bad either. I don't remember what my clay supply is like. I just know that when you need it, you need it. Now you... I don't think I can kill you without a crit. Endermen are notoriously tanky. I didn't even get the one shot with a crit. But that's fine. We killed him and blocked his only hit against us. There you are. Onward to jungle, and cocoa, and melons. Wildlife permitting. But the more they come after me, the more XP I get, and the closer I'll be to enchanting this beast of a weapon. Because that's what this terrifying thing needs. Sharpness. I also appreciate that the adamantium is green. Kind of takes me back to the RuneScape days. Back when it was 2D. Oh, hello. Do I know this wizard? I must know this wizard. Yeah, we've spoken to him. And that is another ancient crucible site. I don't think we knew about that one. But it'll be easy enough to check. Because if we haven't been in this one, it won't be looted. Or have torches everywhere. We haven't. I forgot to break the spawners. Alright, we got iron, crystals, loot, an apple. The poison bomb is not particularly exciting. Better loot, and a constellation paper that has nothing on it. I'm still going to need those, I think. Actually, no. I don't need those anymore. I'm getting my two games confused, the on-stream and the off-stream one. Kind of surprised we're still close enough to home for the siphoning system to work. We'll go ahead and send the loot bags home. Deal with those later. This unknown scroll I could try and test. Somewhere safe-ish. Wow. Paralysis, huh? Well, I've got 2 more scrolls of that. Surely we can find some victims. And then just to the northwest. I mean, if we hadn't been here, it wouldn't be this bright. Yeah, we know that one. Twitch is going to be difficult today, too, it seems. I gotta keep pausing or bringing up inventory briefly so I can tell Twitch, hey, show me my stream window. But yes, we are after the chocolate. So it is time to fling ourselves all the way to a jungle. or into a lake, as the case may be. Have we been in here and looted this one? It has water, which suggests no. It has no way in. Which more? Oh, it has a way in. So we've been here. I wouldn't mind using my absolutely cracked pickaxe to harvest some of the base marble here. Pickaxe, a little too strong. Maybe efficiency wasn't the best idea on this thing. But if we've been in there, then we've definitely spoken to this guy. Yeah, this is the one with the condenser upgrade. So I currently have no further business with Infinite Mana Wizard. We're almost there, within half a click of it. That is a golem in broad daylight. And he knows where we are. So he's going to start shooting. That's okay, he can do what he wants. I'm going up this mountain. In 2 swipes. Another electro blob pylon over here. I don't know if they're at that. I don't know if that's what they're actually called, but it's what I will continue to call them. Come here. There we go. That's what I wanted. Some more of the Spectre Dust. Also, upgrades regular wizard armor into battle mage armor. So we now have another wizard plating upgrade. It's not the same one as the warlock plating upgrade we already have. And apparently to make a full suit of... Hello. I'm just constantly interrupting myself here. Apparently to make a full suit of warlock or battle mage, we'll take 4 of these extremely rare upgrade kits. I guess that contributes to why I'm not using any Electro Blob wizard armor. I will happily steal all this ancient dwarven brick, though. If I had a lower grade pickaxe, I wouldn't bother. But now I'm just going to grab everything. And your little floor, too. Zoop. That looks sufficiently jungly-wongly. What the heck? Oh my god. You know what this is? On the other side of this ridiculous staircase, one of those ancient crucible chambers generated. And then nobody told the staircase it was opening into empty. See, here's more of it. It's on the other side of the mountain. Right here. And now we have this absolutely stupidly long staircase. Sorry, I thought I saw something. It goes way down here. Eventually exits the mountain. Ends up over completely empty space. And just keeps on staircasing. Which is a verb now, deal with it. Until it gets to another one of these. Ow. More assorted loot. Honestly, I'm most excited about the horse armor. Because I can break that down and get lots of ingots out of it. And diamonds. I mean, this right here, that's 8 diamonds right there. Ooh, an unknown spell. I'll have to hold on to that for identification. More iron horse armor. I mean, we're never going to horse. The yeet self, the rod of yeet self is too fun. And so much more efficient compared to a horse. Alright, now where does this start being outside? That'll do. Perfect. And we reached the jungle. And there's a cocoa bean. This is like 50% mission accomplished already. The other 50% is that I'm going to need jungle wood. Because cocoa beans only grow on jungle wood. So if I bring home a selection of jungle logs, I can place just place some logs down and create a situation where I can farm my own cocoa beans and never have to come back here. So that's it. We got researchable cocoa, jungle wood, some jungle saplings for good measure. Melons. I don't remember if I had melons already. Either way, now we do. And that's still running. How is that still running when I am 1.5 kilometers from home? What is keeping home loaded? Because this should be frozen. You know what? I think I know what's keeping home loaded. I built my home in a spawn chunk. What is that? Just gravel or something else? Yeah, but this is a technical question. I need to have it answered, or else I'll go on assuming things that aren't correct. Also, parrot noises. There's the parrot. Where's that gravel I spotted? Oh, it's still much further south. You can see the giant stupid bridge here. I'm just not seeing anything in this jungle that's worth sticking around for. Of course, it's hard to tell if there's anything of value in the jungle, because it's all underneath the canopy. It does a really good job of hiding its secrets from someone who uses the map to cheat. Parrots pretending to be a skeleton. Oh, we have a jungle temple. That's... well, it's probably not worth checking out, honestly. But it would be a waste not to. I mean, what could possibly be in here? We have the lever puzzle. The string trigger. There's a second string trigger. Whoa! That creeper triggered. Didn't even see the creeper. Huh. It only had the one arrow in it. And this one had a whole 4. I like the gold, though. Another potion of uncurse. Not our first. The only other thing in here is the lever puzzle itself, which I could solve conventionally, or I could go through the wall. Earth Mage robes. Also some sticky pistons and a repeater. No need for the moss stone. Alright, I think that'll about do it for Jungle Adventure. Now we make our way home again. Mission accomplished. We can now grow cocoa at home, research it, and figure out those chocolate cakes. Which I can confirm through testing in my off-stream subworld. No other food product causes the game to explode. It's just the meat pie. It's possible that the meat pie fix is what allows other foods to not break. But that's not something I'm interested in testing. Ooh. Borax. Very valuable. Gotta grab that at every opportunity. And I see... I did not see this hole. But I see another Ethereum up here. One day Ethereum will be relevant. I'm not sure exactly what that day is, but in preparation for that day, I'm going to collect as much as I can. I think I have to craft and research a composite alloy bar to be able to get into Embers. That is something I am just guessing, because I haven't done that on my off-stream world. I've also learned through impromptu trial and error, meaning unexpected catastrophe, that Mind Fantasy armor can survive swimming in lava. I didn't even have a mithril suit. In my off-stream world, I'm only at diamond encrusted. And with unenchanted encrusted armor, I got knocked into the lava in the nether. And despite the usual being on fire and in lava damage ticks making your camera go twitch, 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 I took basically no damage by the time I managed to swim my way out again. The same can't be said for the armor, which needs repairs. But surviving a dunk in lava without lava immunity of any form is certainly something. I also learned, or relearned, that using Fortuna on Faint Amaranth is a thing, when it really shouldn't be. Or is that something we rediscovered on stream yesterday? It's hard to keep these things straight sometimes. I've also got to use my arrow-based battle rifle more. This thing is just something else. But with the reach of my halberd, I very rarely try to fight things at a greater distance than I can just smack them. More free marble. Shouldn't be too much more walking through these featureless forests. I'm still half on the lookout for the third Mind Fantasy tree, the Ironbark, but I don't think we need it. I mean, we already don't need yew, because yew wood is good for bows, and we're a little past bows, technologically speaking. The ebony is certainly good, and I'm going to be a bit upset when we run out of ebony saplings. Maybe I should make a Fortuna hoe, just to farm ebony leaves for a bit and get more saplings. I'm really shocked this bridge hasn't melted yet. It's just normal ice in the bright sun. It should be melting. But it just doesn't want to do that. Very puzzled as to why. Alright, we do have pumpkins and melons, and have had for some time. One day I will remember the contents of my own farm. One day, but not today. Also, good news, nearly dark. So the Aevitas attunement should be soon. Those do stack, apparently. But only when they feel like it. Let's see, unknown spell, unknown spell. Well, Ignite doesn't do what we want. Ignite does not do what we wanted it to. So I use that slot to learn what Ignite, what the new spell is. Come on now, Night Sky. Aevitas is up there. There you go. Now the quality of this attuning stone doesn't matter. It just has to be attuned to the correct constellation. So now we place the attuned stone, and we can make the Aevitas wand. It starts, and it wants sapling. This will continue. I apparently have to watch for these brown beams of light. And that'll tell me where it wants a sapling. And it should only want the 4, so I think we're set. Ta-da! Aevitas wand. Which is allowing me to treat physics as a suggestion. Of course, if I switch off of it, bad things happen. It's also not consuming my starlight bar. Doesn't even show one. And doesn't seem to require access to the night sky. So we can just kind of walk through the skies on this invisible bridge of starlight. What an amazing tool. Now, my other overflow box is definitely a bit overflowed. We've got snowballs, which have a use in Divine Favor but are otherwise kind of pointless. Unless I'm doing something about Icy Essence in a decanter? Or making snow vodka? Also, Jello papers. Whatever. It's a block. Polished diorite is a block. Cobblestone wall, block. Books. I mean, this is a provisioning book. I will never need that again. We maxed that out. We've got horse armor for the breakdown. I found some more jewels. I don't think those will ever be useful. Chocolate. Chocolate cake, ready. Black Forest cake, 1 of 4. Eclair, ready. Chocolate research, finished. Next, I just have to add it to the farm somehow. And that should be pretty simple. I mean, how much cocoa am I ever going to need at a stroke? That should be plenty. A little jungle wood to spare. Some jungle wood being turned into charcoal. We made glass. Huh. What happened there? I thought I was shift clicking, but then something else happened. I have a Book of Flaming Weapon, which we understand, which tells me we already had one. What does this even do? It enchants our first weapon with fire. What does that look like? I mean, I can replace dart. I thought I was replacing dart. Oh. Novice Wand. Apprentice or advanced spell. It was never going to work. Huh. So what happens... That's not the sorcerer robes that I put in there. I remember another Electroblob armor piece. Where did it go? Oh, I didn't take it out yet. It's fine. I am going to reclassify this chest, at least in part, as redstone materials. But only partially. Melons, sapling, robes, loot bags. That's a lot of coal. That's a lot of coal for loot bags. We got silver, discs, lapis, kaolin, that's pretty nice. That was a new disc. Wait. No, it wasn't. It just didn't stack. What is with the stack numbers here? I just went from 1 to 3 to 2 of those. Weird. So, artisanry. We understand Mythium, but that takes gas tiers. We don't understand Ignotopite or Ender Forge stuff. Of the two, Ignotopite is closer, and I don't know what goes into it. Construction is done. I could make storage crates. I have no use for them. Everything in here is ready except the the Black Forest cake. And in engineering, I still need that damn hammer. Reveal your secrets. What am I missing? Well, the berries are done. Bucket is not. Copper is not. What? There should not have been a cave noise from this direction. I don't have any cavities in that direction. Whatever though. Egg is done. And flour is done, so is Black Forest cake. I've got to make some of these composite bars. And that's gonna suck. Because it's steel, copper, a tungsten hunk, and rivets. Ridiculous. I don't have a lot of steel either. I keep turning it into black steel. I don't have a lot of tungsten either. Which I think is because I haven't processed a whole lot of it. Alright then, wolframite, strong flux, coal, and the wolframite. It does nothing else. That'll process some tungsten as we belch smoke to the sky. I think I should make that chimney taller. Not for any real reason. Chimneys are also cheap, so there's no reason not to. No, not at all. It's just horrible industrial pollution that we're sending into the sky several years in advance, foreshadowing for what humanity does later. Alright, tungsten is happening. It is 4 composite bars to the tungsten, but that's also 4 steel and 4 copper each. And 8 rivets. I've got the rivets, so that's not a concern. It's the steel. Well, that means it's smithing time. Also, I have steel shears just sitting here. Why am I still using iron? I never took out the steel shears. Wait, where'd they go? I did take them out. I already put them away. I'm paying attention to my own actions, I swear. Alright, stack of flux, stack of iron, stack of iron. It's gonna make a stack of steel. I also want to switch things up right here. Just a little bit. Extractor chimney, smoke pipes. We'll steal the smoke from this forge as well and connect it to my existing piping system. That doesn't really do anything. But I'm doing it anyway. Actually, it does do something, I guess. It makes it harder to Dragon Forge without moving the anvil. Alright, stack of prepared iron, stack of coal, probably a half stack of charcoal. I likely need less, but I have plenty, so it's not a big deal. Load the giant blast furnace. I already had charcoal in here. Excellent. I forgot I did that. And then feed the giant blast furnace. That will begin making steel, as our smoke production casually doubles. Now how's the tungsten coming? Almost done. Temperature tolerance 2000 to 3000. Let's get you in there. Not all of it. Not all of it. We'll do 12. And 12. 4, 8, 12. That'll take the engineering tools, a bunch of rivets. No, not exactly. I don't have anything in here that functions as a chunk loader. I just think I'm too close to world spawn. By default, world spawn keeps us like a 3x3 square of chunks loaded. It's generally considered a problem because in long enough turn worlds, you can have the issue where zombies pick things up and don't despawn, and then you can have an infinite number of zombies that spawn just because you stop paying attention to spawn. But we live here, so it's not like I'm going to fail to notice an infinite number of zombies. Tungsten up to temperature. And we hunk it. Copper up to temperature. I think that's going to be the dangerous bit, because copper has a much lower maximum temperature tolerance. And everything here has to be hot. Oh, it's workable already. Let's grab it before it gets out of control. Next up, steel. And finally, rivets. Rivets also have a temperature tolerance of, I think, 2000 at max, but it doesn't tell you. Oh, that's a heavy hammercraft. Hot composite alloy bar. There's no composite alloy ingot. Wait, there is. Then why can't I make one? Because it's not workable, that's why. Its workable temperature is much higher. 2,500? I don't think I can get there with charcoal alone. No, we're capping at 2,250. Okay. Let's hit it with the real stuff, then. You'll get up to workable temperature now, whether you like it or not. There it goes. I want one of these, so I can research it. And then I'll probably be turning it right back. Tinker's Hammer. That's what I thought I needed. Now it goes right back in there. I can stop hitting this because lava. It's going to be max temperature of 5,000. There's nothing I can do to make it any higher. Grab that before it goes insane. Just hold on to these for a second. What do I want to do with all this composite alloy that we finally have access to? I mean, I could make a climbing pit just to see what that does. But if it's not useful, that'll be a waste. Tinker's Hammer. Doesn't give us anything. Cogwork. I don't think I need composite for this cogwork nonsense. But we could play around with that too. We also finished the research for storage. We can make bins and Embers tanks and the Embers reservoir. If I had to wait this long to store fluids, this run never would have gotten off the ground. Mechanical core is a thing. Which effectively extends machines. Now we need the Ember Bore. Embers can't go anywhere without the Ember Bore. So what do I have to do to get to an Ember Bore? The Tinker's Hammer is a composite alloy and 4 iron. Why is the composite alloy... There's a wizard. Where is this wizard? I heard him. I'm not going to let him lurk around until he just shows up. Hack. I found the snare spell. That could be useful. Just not down here. Where's that wizard? I don't want him to just suddenly show up. Because wizards can open doors. Where are you? Spellcasting menace. And where did this cobblestone block come from? Wizard? I know I heard you. Show yourself. There is no wizard. Something just made that noise but doesn't actually exist. Oh, I need 2 sticks. Too late. I turned my back on the iron, and it immediately became unstable. Nope. That's not happening. Huh. The Tinker's Hammer just kind of done. It didn't even have a hot state. Maybe I will go ahead and make the climbing pick just to test it out. It's not like I have anything else to do right away with this composite metal. Two rivets, 2 strips, and my engineering tools. Where? There they are. And this is going to be another Oh, no, it's not that. It's that the composite suddenly isn't hot enough. This being made specifically out of a particular metal that it took that long to get access to, this thing better not have any durability. Also, why is my blast furnace quiet? It's not done. So I didn't put enough fuel in there. Tools and tools and tools and tools. Let's test out the climbing pick. And then grab this to see where we can go with the Tinker's Hammer. How does the pick work? Hold down right click on a block you're touching. Then hit left click to pull you up. So hold right, tap left, and if you hold shift at the time, you go down. So just holding right gives this weird vibrating motion, and my stamina goes to hell. It also has durability. And it breaks the block if you do the actual left click thing it told you to. What? Hold down right click, then hit left click to pull yourself up. So I step right up against the block, hold right click, immediately go up, begin vibrating. If I remain, it took my entire stamina bar to pull myself up one block. This thing is garbage. And I mean that in the holy shit, why did I make this sense? That's going right into the refuse bin to be broken down for the extremely expensive metal that it was made from. What a waste. Alright then. We finally have our Tinker's Hammer, which tells us about pipes, which would be amazing if I wasn't already using them. We also completed research on the bin and the fluid vessel, and also the reservoir. There's a trapdoor bin as well. That leads to scales. Pipes also lead to an item vacuum and an item dropper. There's also the Eye of the Ancients here, which talks about item transfer and item requisition. Now the bad thing about the Embers book, this tablet, is that none of these have recipes. It's all text and lore. And this tells us all about how pipes work, which is about 30% false, because you're supposed to be able to whack them with a stick to fix a clogged pipe. That's never worked. I've always had to break and replace the pipe. Extractors are not supposed to be valid exits for a pipe network if they're powered. That's false, because our system wouldn't be getting jammed otherwise. And it tells us how pipes flow. At a pipe intersection, things never go backwards. They prioritize the opposite exit. so long as the other exits are weighed equally, whatever that means. And when a tie must be broken, items and fluids are round robin. So what that means, and what is not happening, is that our pipe system here, each of these extractors should be pushing out to this pipe, and then this pipe shouldn't be able to see either extractor as a valid exit. So it has one valid way for the fluid to go, down. And that's our only pipe intersection. And yet it still clogs. Somehow. It gets even worse if I were to place a third light well here, which is why I haven't done it. So this is all the stuff that Embers has. You can make tools out of Embers materials, but Mind Fantasy says they're crude, so don't do that. Embers offers clockwork tools, which have basically no durability in and of themselves. They are instead powered by capsules of Ember, which functions like the Ember mod's electricity. You get Ember by gaining Ember shards via the Ember extractor, which you grind bedrock to collect these. And these individual shards have to then be burned in some kind of special furnace or reactor granted by Ember, the mod Ember. With all that done, you then have Ember power for the various Ember machines, and we get really deep into Dwarven engineering. That's how it's supposed to work. The trouble with Ember is that none of the Ember tools or weapons are particularly strong. I mean, the Clockwork Pickaxe that we've waited all this time to maybe get a shot at does 7 damage and is roughly equivalent to, I want to say, an iron pick? What pickaxe does 7 damage? Not diamond. So it's slightly better than diamond. Meanwhile, our mithril pick, which only does 3 damage, has a colossal dig speed multiplier and is far, far faster. Embers also eventually, through the Ethereum expansion, offers these semi-magical picks that do additional things that, frankly, no one cares about. Because I don't remember what etheric means. I think it means it has mending under the night sky. We could get into that later. But the Pickaxe of the Molten Depths is... It's the Scorching Heat enchantment. It auto-smelts whatever it mines. And then Pickaxe of the Boundless Sky is... I'm pretty sure that is a Astral Sorcery perk, the one we're going for, where blocks mine go straight into your inventory. And these two things are extremely difficult to make, not just because they're expensive, but because these components also have to be smithed in a very specific multi-block with more temperature management, and it's even more work than this setup over here. Embers is weird. Embers is very weird. it's more of a flavor mob than anything. If I could get into it very early, then it might have been worth the effort. But because it took so long to get to composite alloy and actually unlock the ability to make the Tinker's Hammer, which is needed for everything Embers, we're now in Mithril. There is nothing Embers can offer that will outclass Mithril. The only thing it could possibly do that I could possibly care about is it can do ore doubling. And ore doubling doesn't work for steel, because I need to take iron ore and prepare it to make pig iron, and that gets us to steel. So the fact that I can melt one ore into 2 bars with an Embers setup is completely irrelevant. What I'm saying is the balance here is just a little bit off. Just a bit. Because the mod is completely outclassed before I was even able to get into it. It doesn't get any quieter if I'm further away. That's terrible. So I need an entire stack of coal dust to process my entire stack of pig iron into a stack of steel. You know, I could skip the tinderbox entirely if I just used a lava bucket. It's a good thing I have a ton of coal. Could I just move coal into one of these troves? Because we kind of have that much coal. Look at all this. Look at all this coal. This is insane. $1,100 coal. I'm less surprised that we have that much, and more surprised that I bothered to gather that much. Alright, coal dust. Pig iron, 1200 to 1800 C. I don't care. Give me all of the C. 100% centigrade. Yeah, the absolutely maddening quern noise. And the need for it never stops. Coal dust has far too many uses, including, weirdly enough, in baking. $1,200, 13. 14, that's high enough. Huh, kind of funny. When I right-click the block, the sparks shoot out from where I right-click the spark. When I left-click the block, the sparks shoot out from the center of the block only. True, but I don't mean as an ingredient. The stuff that charcoal is used for in the provisioning section is specifically for baking. Because if I use wood and wood fire an oven, it gets up to 150 C, which is good for some things, but some baking needs to be done at 180 C. And if I use the forge with coal, that goes up to like 1200 C, and that burns the food. The compromise is to use coal dust, which will only bring it to 180 or 200 C. And then you can bake things like cakes and pies. It's specifically called out in the book somewhere in here for higher level baking. Fire pit, stovetop, ovens, coal in a forge is ceramic temperature. When cooking, use a fire pit for basic, a forge with coal dust for advanced, and a forge with standard fuel for ceramic firing. That's where it's called out. So we've got sausages, using rotten flesh to make guts, then bread rolls to breadcrumbs, salt, raw mince, guts, egg, makes a sausage, which you then stovetop or smelt. And +8 hunger is a pretty good food. I don't think any of the foods I have access to now are +8. The jerky is 6. And my snackle box full of meat pie slices, which now feels like a bug item, well, that's 8. But it better be good, because we broke our game to get there. But we can now make sausages. We tried repairing the big sandwich, it didn't work. Meat pie goes up to shepherd's pie, which is even more potent than meat pie because it's just meat pie, plus carrots and potatoes. What carrots are doing in a shepherd's pie, I'll never know, because I thought it was corn. Not that there's corn in Minecraft, but I guess if you squint really hard, carrot looks like a corn cob. Maybe. You bake the shepherd's pie, take it off the pie tin, and slice it. You can also come down here to the sweets area and do a sweet roll, cake, berry pie, apple pie, carrot cake, which is slightly better than cake, but not a whole lot, chocolate cake, and then black forest cake. Chocolate cake, you have to make chocolate. and it requires a bit more than any cake previous. This is just the cake recipe, but with a line of chocolate in the middle. If these 3 chocolate weren't here, and the flour and cake tin were moved up a row, that would be the cake recipe. Then you bake the cake, and add icing and even more chocolate. And that gets a complete chocolate cake for you to slice. And the Black Forest cake, well, it doubles the milk, doubles the egg, uses juicy berries, we still have chocolate, we have an extra flour. It's a big, dense cake. Then you bake it. You get the uniced Black Forest cake. And there should be more pages over here to tell you how to put the icing on. But there aren't. For some reason you have to look up this one recipe, turning the uniced cake into the iced cake, in NEI. And I don't know why that is. But to finish the Black Forest cake is 3 icing, 2 chocolate, and 3 berries. It is the most expensive cake in the mod, which it better be, requiring something like 80 provisioning to make. What's the upshot of all this? Basic cake is +5 hunger, carrot is 6, chocolate is also 6. Between chocolate and carrot, chocolate is more fattening and apparently takes longer to eat. I still don't know what fat accumulation is or means. It's never explained. And then Black Forest is 7. Is even slower to eat than both of the previous ones. The stamina regen buff is more powerful and lasts longer. And the fat accumulation is higher, which I also don't know what that's about. The other important things to note is that these restore stamina directly. 150, 200, 200, 250. I didn't know there were numbers on my stamina value. But if a fight is going really, really badly for you, and I guess you're using a one-handed weapon, and you can fit cake in your offhand, go nuts. Alright, sharpness is cheap. Looting, I can fit 1 looting on there. Let's apply this, then try for unbreaking. I can fit unbreaking 1 on there. And now we have no XP. But it's a start. It's a start. But before I got distracted by everything, at Embers. Besides the Tinker's Hammer, getting into Embers requires the Ember Boar. And I don't know what I'm expected to research to get there. It's not the Atmo gauge, which we also need. Maybe it's copper. I doubt it, though. Where is the Ember Boar? It's one of these funky blocks. Field chart doesn't help. Ember Boar. Copper, mechanical core. Okay, so I have to make a oh, that's composite alloy. Oh no, as if Embers wasn't expensive enough. Mechanical cores are very important in Ember. We're going to need lots of these if I intend to go anywhere with Embers. And I did intend to make Embers one of my showcase mods. What the heck is this? It looks like a deep rock flare. Yeah, apparently this Ember Forged, the Mind Fantasy and Embers bridge mod, makes almost all Embers recipes Mind Fantasy recipes. This is going to get a bit wacky. The reservoir is mysteriously immune, but the reservoir is significantly inferior to these tanks. I mean, that's 150 buckets in a single block. The reservoir would give me 40 buckets in a 3x3 multi-block, and then another 40 buckets for every layer of 3x3 multi-block. So let's see. 80 buckets for 18 blocks, or 150 buckets in one block. You be the judge. So we need an atmospheric gauge and an ember bore. And to get an ember bore, we're going to need to make a mechanical core and research it. The time for smithing is not yet over. Okay, atmospheric gauge. Does it go into anything? No. So I will never need more than one. 4 copper ingots, which I don't have any. I'll have to ingotize these bars. 2 iron ingots and 1 redstone. It's like a funky compass. And then once we get the funky compass, I will need a mechanical core, or probably 3. And that's iron and composite plates. Composite plates are gonna suck. Because that's all I can make for composite plates. 3 of them. And I'm going to need at least that many mechanical cores. And for every pair of composite alloys, I'm going to need 4 metal bars. 4 iron bars, specifically. So, let's get cooking. Step 1, forge to temperature. Step 2, copper to temperature. Copper has a limited tolerance. Copper ingots, check. Atmospheric gauge, check. Next up, composite alloy. Being made into plates. Plates are a heavy handicraft. Temperature is maxed. Bellows now do nothing. 25, 26, 28. High enough. I'm missing something. To make 3 mechanical cores, I also need 3 compasses. Which is silly, and only part of the recipe because it is in unmodified embers. Iron to temperature, 1200 check, 14, 15, don't go too high. Mechanical cores, which luckily don't come out hot. Research the core. And there's a more knowledge blocked behind it. We unlocked Amber Boar. Amber Boar must be fueled with furnace fuel and must be placed touching bedrock. When fueled, the boar will dig up ember crystals for future use. Hoppers and other item transporters must be used to extract and insert fuel and crystals from the boar. So I need an Ember Boar. Copper, 3 iron, 4 Caminite brick stairs, and 1 of these cores. Caminite, we made. We've got some. Caminite bricks, we did not make. Caminite brick stairs, we very much do not have. That's 4 stairs, which is made from 6 bricks, 6 entire bricks. It has to be ceramic in an oven. Alright then, have it your way. We will Caminite brick by brick in a stone oven. Anytime now. There it is. Now the oven has reached temperature. These will cook pretty much instantly. And these bricks are by no means the end of the Caminite requirement. Embers needs this stuff constantly. Alright. We have the 4 stairs and the core. We need 1 copper, 3 iron. core, stairs, copper to temperature. That didn't take long. It took too long. Let's try this again. It jumped right past workable straight into unstable. Because copper has kind of a small available heat window, and we are using lava in here. So things are going to get too hot very quickly. Ember Bore. Ember Bore and this other mechanical core is required to make the Ember Bore work. The next thing we need is item pipes and an item extractor. The item pipes are made with lead, which I have not yet processed any lead. I think it might be time to think about nickel and aluminum as well, maybe. Yep, lead has to be big furnace or bloomered, or a number of other possible methods. The atmospheric gauge, it just puts that in the middle of the screen. If you remember this thing, this resonator that we used to run around the map and find a star pool to figure out the strongest possible place to put our altar, this is the same thing. This little gauge is keyed to areas of strong ember under the bedrock of the world. Funny thing is, the difference between a low ember area and a high ember area is, as far as I've been able to tell, minimal. And what makes this worse is that the areas of high and low ember concentration move and flow. So a high ember concentration area today might be a terrible one later. However, this being as high as it is straight down there is kind of convenient. It means we already have a tunnel to bedrock in a good spot. Oh yeah, and there's mythic down here I didn't collect. Why didn't I? Probably because of all the lava. Oh well. The important thing right now, despite all the twinkling mythic, is to find a location where I can put this ember ore. And that's going to involve a spot where it can touch at least, I was going to say at least 3 bedrock at the same time, but 7 is a new record. So this goes right there. Ember's multi-blocks are very, very forgiving. They just give you the 3x3. Then the mechanical core goes on top of it. And what this does is it gives us extra interface potential. Because normally, I could put a hopper on here and feed coal and charcoal into the board to fuel it. But there's only one port. How do I get the ember out again? You just don't. What the mechanical core does is it extends that port into 5 ports. Now I can insert coal with a hopper and extract ember with a pipe. And having such a large coal deposit right here makes that even funnier. Of course, some of this is also my perk at work. Like, I doubt this gold was here naturally. So with this in position, I kind of want that mythic, but I also kind of don't. As in, I kind of don't want to deal with the lava. Even though we fixed the lava problem with the devouring charm on the lava tank, I still just don't want to go to the trouble right now. So I'm going to need a hopper and some lead lava pipes, or some lead item pipes. And with that, embers can actually get off the ground. I'm still wearing my blacksmithing attire. Let's also get embers its own chest. Not a more iconic embers block than the atmospheric gauge. I still need this. The lead. Lead was processing. Lead is done. Okay, item pipes. Require lead plates. Where is my flux? There it is. Get 8 lead in there. Lead 2, by the way, is a bad material for armor. Blast the temperature all the way up to max. 14, 15, too high. Lead plate. is a heavy craft. I should have known that. Does the plate have to be hot? Nope. Plates never have to be hot, apparently. There we go, item pipes. We'll also need an item extractor, which involves a Caminite plate, which has to be fired. Do I have a spare Caminite plate kicking around? There's an easy way to find out. I have several. Where are they? In here? Yes. Point for the manifest. Let's plate, item pipes, and 2 redstone. Make an extractor, and we need a lever to run the extractor. Embers has its own levers, which I think look a lot better than vanilla levers, but they require Caminite to make. So it's a question of whether I want to fire Caminite plates to make some cool levers, or just put up with cobblestone levers. And there's an argument to be made both ways, but it's not a very good argument. Alright, lead is only going to be an embers thing. That can go up there. Caminite too. Let me get this hopper. And single chest? Oh, not just single chest. Magic chest. For extra storage capacity. And then put all our coal in here. I think 3 stacks is good to start. Another victory for high-powered assault rifle. I need to put some more cobblestone over here, or I risk walking to that lava. Okay. Item extractor. Item pipe, minimum 1. Radiant chest. Lever for the extractor. Hopper. Coal. And that's just what that sounds like. It grinds up ember grit, ember crystals, and there's also a larger ember crystal, or possibly a smaller one. A smaller one. We can take this straight up for research purposes. And just let this noisy arse thing work. And that's that. Unless I wanted to set up an ender chest extractor or something, there's not really a way to improve upon that system. And honestly, a pair of ender chests to feed charcoal and extract the ember might be worth it. Just not right yet. It would certainly be cheaper to make 2 ender chests for that purpose than it would. This shaft was closer. I don't think it was as good for ember though. It would be cheaper to make the 2 ender chests than it would be to make an item pipe leading all the way home. So now I can research an ember crystal. This gives me basic ember transfer, melter, ember activator. We're still going. Pressure refinery. And the ember crystal is all learned out. So here in engineering, it just basically shows us the path that we need to research to get to things. It's not going to give us much in terms of actual lore. We've got the Ember Lore, which basically tells us the same thing that this book does. In fact, it's the same text. Research the crystallized ember. This is all lore text. They're crystals, they're orange, they're the power of the core of the world, and they can be tapped. Then we learn about the ember activator, the pressure refinery, the mini boiler, and the reaction chamber. The ember activator is a basic reverse furnace. You put crystals into the activator, and soon the activated ember power will be extracted by the machine. If you can avoid it, don't make one of these. Just don't. The pressure refinery is straight up better, and you don't have to. There's nothing required in Ember that you have to power to get to the pressure refinery. So the Ember can refine the activator can refine Ember, but it produces only a modest amount. The pressure refinery gets much higher yields, requires water and Ember for a default 1.5x yield, but if placed on top of a metal block with lava or fire around it, it can go up to triple yield. As for the boiler, an ember consuming or producing machine boils water into steam for other purposes, but at high pressures the boiler can pop. I haven't seen this happen, but this line makes me very reluctant to use boilers at all. And then the reaction chamber is also something to produce steam, but can also change steam back into water. I don't know what it means by reactive fluid. I don't know how this machine works. It's not very adequately described in this text. But now that we have Ember Activator, we can move on to the next page in Embers, Ember Transfer, which gives us emitters and receptors. This is why I needed the Tinker's Hammer, because the Tinker's Hammer is required to link an emitter to a receptor. And without that link, you can't transfer power in Embers at all. So emitters have to be linked to a receptor and powered with redstone. And then they just fire ember packets. These ember packets are collected by receptors and shove it into the attached machine. They can also lose ember if they receive a bigger packet than they can handle. This is also something I don't like about Embers and never did. The base power system has a lot of loss built into it. So when an Ember receptor receives an Ember packet, it can push that Ember, it receives it into its own internal buffer, and then it crams that buffer into the attached machine as fast as possible. A single Ember emitter cannot overload a single receptor as long as the attached machine is using power very quickly. If the attached machine is using power very slowly, then the Ember receptor's buffer can fill up and stay full. And then the second it's not completely full, like 99 out of 100%, then the Ember emitter recognizes that the receptor can receive some Ember, and it will throw an entire packet of Ember, which is like 200 or 300 Embers worth in a single burst. And if the receptor can only accept one of that, the rest of it is lost. Emitters and receptors are linked with the hammer. I mentioned that. There's no distance limit to linking, but after an Ember burst has been flying for a while, it can fade away and loses the Ember it carried. So you can link across infinite distances. It's just that there is effectively a limit to linking, because an Ember burst might never arrive. So like the power loss I already described, Embers will let you do it, and then it will laugh at you when it fails. Ember transfer gives us access to a copper cell and a melter. The copper cell is a battery. That's all it is. This is the basic Embers battery, so you're not using your receptors and your generators as storage. Then you have the melter. The melter is the ore doubler. You insert ore, and it doesn't grind it into dust. It melts it into 2 ingots worth of liquid. And then you have to take the liquid and send it to, I guess, a separator, which is a new block for me, or the stamper. The stamper is extremely expensive to build. It's like an iron block. So, as processing machines go, at this low level of processing, the stamper is pretty pricey. And then you have to power it as well. So we need an activator, or better yet, a pressure refinery, which is your ember generator. Ember crystals, which our bore way down at bedrock level is producing. Then a melter to melt ore down into fluid, and a stamper to smash it into bars, or other things, directly into gears sometimes. Because the stamper accepts stamps. And you can stamp things directly into bars, directly into gears, directly into plates, which is actually kind of huge, into rods, which are really only useful in numbers, and round, I guess, whatever round is. Geologic separator. It's a machine upgrade, filters out some impurities when melting ores, and provides a little extra output. So this is... there's a machine in thermal expansion that kind of did this. This is for the secondaries. So if I were to... let's grab some iron. Iron should be an example. Let's ignore all this. Uses of iron. You can smash it on the anvil with flux for prepared ore during this, for the steel making process. You can smelt it into bars, bloomery it into bars, infuse it into 3 ingots. Well, that's nice. It's very nice, actually. Focus Starlight on it to get star metal. It has some crafts here, but melter. It melts into 288 millibuckets of molten iron. An ingot is 144. So we get 1 iron to 2 ingots without consuming starlight. Instead we consume ember, which as long as we have coal, we can mine infinitely from bedrock. The geologic separator, we still get all 2 ingots of iron, but it also gives us a bonus tiny amount of nickel. I think that's like a nugget's worth of nickel. Which really makes me question whether or not the geologic separator is worth it. We can get nickel from iron, silver from gold, lead from silver, gold from copper, silver from lead, iron from aluminum, iron from nickel, and lead from tin. And that's just what the geologic separator do. And it's a nickel block to make it. Which really makes me question its utility and value. Moving on. Geologic separator, stamper. Stamper gets us to things like the automatic breaker, which grinds blocks immediately. This would be useful for something like our attempted sand and aquamarine farm. It will also work for a cobble farm. Mixer centrifuge is how Embers does alloys. You pump fluids into the top of the centrifuge, you feed the centrifuge with Ember, and it gives you the alloy. So you pump things into the bottom, and each face of the bottom is its own tank. And then you give Ember to the top block, and it creates an alloy. These alloys are critical for advancing in Embers. One in particular. And then mechanical access. This is where it tells you how mechanical cores work, which you need to know to even get this far. Like I said, the mechanical core extends the one access port as a proxy, so we can now apply a hopper and an extractor and some other things for a bigger interface. Machine interface gives us access to mystical mechanics, which is, we've already got the boiler, then there are gearboxes, a steam engine, a mechanical actuator, merge boxes, gears, axles. The steam engine requires coal and water and produces rotational energy. More efficient than an ember borer, but can be wasteful. You don't want to run out of water. So you've already dabbled with producing steam, you could put this steam to use and directly input steam to make the engine even more powerful. But it requires a lot of steam. The implication here is that I can use a steam engine and rotational power to run the ember borer faster, but it would require a boiler and engine setup. Axles transfer mechanical power, gearbox machines. Axles don't lose power over distance. Gears are cheap and robust, but they have a power limit. Gold has a higher power limit. Redstone gears are toggleable. And Dawnstone gears are the most powerful. Dawnstone is the primary Embers alloy. This is what we need the mixture centrifuge for most. Gearboxes, input side, output sides. They split or combine power. Okay, merge boxes combine. Gearboxes split. We have a mechanical actuator. Some machines that are powered by Ember could potentially be powered by mechanical energy instead. There's an altered version with 4 input sides, combining the input power. The Ember borer lends itself well to being powered by mechanical energy. Powering it this way is more coal efficient, but initially a bit slower. The pump really wants to be mechanically powered. The stamper also would like mechanical power, and that would make it cheaper to run. Mixer centrifuges, you can power mechanically, but not all recipes can be done mechanically. Some require the magic of Ember's energy to run. And the auto hammer can be mechanically powered. So that's how that works. If I can get a mechanical actuator stuck on the side of my Ember ore, and then make it run on steam power somehow with a pump, it might be better than feeding it coal directly. Here's the pump. You need the pump to keep the pressure refinery running. So the optimal power setup is looking like a pressure refinery with a pump, with a boiler to capture some of that heat energy, to a steam engine run off of the boiler, and the steam runs the pump to feed the pressure refinery with the water it needs. And then we get a nice power cycle running with steam and water and everything else. We get Ember power. This way, Clockwork Attenuator. The sole purpose of this machine of this upgrade is to turn down the speed of a machine so it stops burning fuel so fast. Of course, with the side effect of making the machine run slower. We have hearth coils and insulators. The hearth coil is a giant furnace. You supply the coil with Ember power, and it smelts everything dropped onto it. If you apply insulation to it, then the maximum heat of the coil goes up, and it cools down more slowly. So this allows you to power it intermittently instead of constantly, and just have it hot at all times. And that could be a much cheaper furnace. Although with Mine Fantasy involved, I don't really know what all could be cooked on the hearth coil, because so many things require the furnace or the bloomery to turn into bars. Really, the deeper I read into Embers, the less I want anything to do with it. Because Mine Fantasy has simply outstripped it significantly. Jeez. I never checked my enchantment room for floors. I don't know why I assumed my enchanting room would be somehow immune to this little difficulty. So many diamonds. And the last thing in this chapter is Dawnstone, which unlocks a lot. It's a gold-copper alloy, created with mixture centrifuge, and you need Ember to run it. So this is one of those recipes that mechanical power cannot be substituted. And once you have Dawnstone, Embers really opens up. Dawnstone Metallurgy begins with things like the Crystal Cell, which the copper battery, this turns it into a joke. You can insert crystals into the crystal cell to make it bigger, increasing its maximum capacity. And this is just, it's simply mass power storage. It gets pretty intense. And then when you have that much potential power storage, you get the ejector, which is a more powerful emitter. The beam splitter, which is exactly what it sounds like. All it does is it takes one ember packet and splits it in two. So you can potentially power multiple things off of fewer emitters, since a late, even a mid-game ember setup is just festooned with emitters everywhere. And Ember's machine lab looks like it's covered in spikes, with fireballs flying everywhere. The beam, Ember ejector, it's a sturdier emitter that can push out 10 times as much in a single shot. Too much for receptors, and surplus may be lost. Since losing Ember in transfer isn't good, you've discovered the Ember funnel, which is a bigger input. The beam splitter, each of the larger ports is its own emitter. So when Ember is fed into the splitter, it splits the Ember between the two output ports. So that allows one emitter to power two machines on half the power. Then we have the advanced spread burst. This can power up to 5 things as a single emitter. Very powerful. Also silly expensive, because it requires a component that we have to come over here to make. Cinder Plinth. It's a garbage can. It's a garbage can that burns any trash into ash. And we need ash. We need stacks of ash. The Cinder Plinth also accepts Ember, but burns it very, very slowly, so it's a big candidate for waste. We have Metal Aspecti. You stamp an Ember crystal with molten metal, and it creates a focus crystal. That comes up a little later. The Beam Cannon. This thing is also very wasteful. If you feed it a ton of Ember, and it can fire off a beam. This beam can kill almost anything unarmored, but also begins transmutation at the exchange tablet. This is advanced Ember crafting. Because with the beam cannon, the ash, and the metal aspects, we get the Ember exchange tablet. This gets a little Thaumcrafty. The science gets a bit crazy. There's also the catalytic plug, which I've honestly never used. The catalytic plug runs on alchemical slurry, which is redstone put through a melter. And with a constant feed of alchemical slurry, molten redstone, it can double a machine's speed. I've never found that necessary. Once we have alchemy, we then have to worry about experimentation. For this, let's go back into NEI after we discover, something to use as an example. Let's say the Ember Cluster. The Ember Cluster has some uses. You fuse together several crystals and shards to get a cluster, a larger bunch of crystals that will help you with future machines. The Ember Cluster is made at the Exchange Tablet. This is the recipe: a crystal, 3 shards, and gunpowder. But we also have this mysterious little readout here. What this means is that you need 2 pillars, or plinths, I believe. No, not plinth. Not pillar either. What's it called? This, the alchemy pedestal. So you need this recipe in the Exchange Tablet, and then near the Exchange Tablet you need at least 2 alchemy pedestals. One pedestal needs a Dawnstone aspectus in it, which is Dawnstone stamped around an Ember Crystal. The other one needs a copper aspect in it, same thing, just copper. And then, in addition to the aspect on the pedestal, you then need to feed the pedestal with ash. How much ash? Oh, somewhere in between these values. It's different every game. So, basically the way that works is you attempt this craft with the minimum amount, 24 ash in each, expecting it to fail. And when it fails, it gives you, I can't see it immediately here, but you are given an item, this item, alchemical waste. It's garbage. It's garbage that you can feed into a stamper to get some of your ash back, but none of the materials that you wasted. But more importantly, the alchemical waste will have a tooltip on it that will tell you by how much you missed these 2 ash values. So if you use the minimum amount, you just take that minimum 24, add the margin of failure, and now you know exactly how much ash you need of each type. You could start the maximum value and then subtract the margin of error, but that wastes more ash. Or you could start in the middle, and then when you receive the margin of error, you could guess whether you were over or under. I don't recommend it. But that is how Ember's alchemy works, and that is all Ember's advanced crafting. Dawnstone and alchemy. And that gets us into things like apparently synthesizing nether materials, creating some kind of oil to make safer boiler setups. Don't know what that means. Never done it. Alchemy. You can copy ancient brick. Motive cores. You can create them, apparently. That's new. Adhesive. Synthetic slime. Also, metallurgic dust. Metal seeds, ember, redstone grit. You can turn an entire ore vein into a different type, but some of it may become stone. I've never done that. Glimmer crystal. You know our wand of light, that just creates lights whenever we want, and also turns blocks transparent and invincible? The glimmer crystal is that, except it doesn't turn things transparent and invincible. It just places light sources. And it recharges under sunlight, not moonlight. Baubles. These are all new to me. Dawnstone mail. Knockback immunity. Ember jewelry. Gives you discounts on ember-powered tools. And they stack. Ashen amulet. When a creature is slain, or a block is broken while wearing the amulet, it turns to ash and drops nothing but ash. Interesting. That could save on the power consumption of the Cinder Plinth. Amulet of the Heretic. 90% magic damage resistance. Fascinating. Mantle bow. Tiny capacity, but you can put it in the bauble slot. Explosion charm. Explosion immunity. Explosion charm pedestal. You can place an explosion charm on a pedestal, and it cancels explosions. Creeper protection. Probably very pricey, though. Kind of the crowning achievement of Embers is the Ashen Armor here. It's made of dawnstone, ash, cloth. It makes armor, and there are further upgrades for it. I don't really know how well it plays with Mind Fantasy, though. It just says it's medium armor. It doesn't give a cutting, piercing, blunt breakdown. And it doesn't have a weight either. So I don't know how valuable it would be. Certainly compared to something like Mithril. Alchemical mixing. I think this is a soot thing. Metal leveling. Step by step you can transmute metals into better metals. Well, arguably better metals. I don't know how iron to copper is an upgrade. And there's antimony. Antimony, as I remember, is basically a pun. Yeah, this is a reference to how punny it is. Emeralds are money. Antimony, anti-money, can be used like emeralds for villager trading. Antimony is kind of expensive, as I recall, but infinite emeralds for trading. There's the Ice Hitter. But it does durability damage to armor. Just very destructive to armor. Tearfang is a lead weapon that does increased damage to armored foes. The more armor your weapon is wearing, the more damage the blade will inflict. Good for PvP. Not very impressive for a setup like mine, where there are no other players. The Ashen Armor upgrades with Inflictor gems. These are neat. What you do with these is you hold the crystal not just on your hotbar, but in one of your hands, and then take damage. And the crystal remembers that damage. And then you can sew up to 7 of these onto your Ashen Cloak. And each one of these gems reduces the damage type you keyed it to by a third. Fascinating stuff. We've got the field chart. The atmospheric gauge is terrible. But the field chart you can place, and it's a map. A placeable map that shows you ember concentrations. You can eventually make the wildfire core, which unlocks a lot. Combustion and catalysis chamber is an even stronger generator, but it requires a lot of other materials to make it work. I still think pressure refinery is the best, unless you have a ridiculous amount of nether materials to just burn. Metal crystals can simply produce metals. So you can just generate free metal by feeding it with ember. Wildfire Sterling. You attach it to a machine, supply it with steam, and the ember cost of the machine is cut in half. Crazy. Catalysis and combustion make the Ignem reactor. Combustion chamber. It burns combustible fuels. Coal has 2, nether brick items have 3, blaze powder has 4. So this is a power multiplier. Catalysis chamber uses catalyst items. Redstone 2, gunpowder 3, glowstone 4. And these combine in the Ignem reactor. It's placed next to a combustion and catalysis chamber. When both of them are running, it will refine crystal and ember with a multiplier equal to both multipliers of the attached chambers plus 1. And the catalyst and combustion levels must be fairly close. So you can't use 2x in one and 4x in the other. They have to be similar or at least one off, is what that sounds like to me. But if you have a stupid amount of coal or nether brick, or a blaze farm like I don't, and a ridiculous amount of, well, all of these things are kind of difficult to farm, then you can get a significant multiplier to your ember power. But the pressure refinery already gives you 3x. Why would you need to go up to 9x by burning all kinds of other ridiculous materials? A volatile ember coordinate. The volatile ember conduit. The reactor produces so much that conventional emitters can't pull enough power. The ludicrously expensive conduit can feed huge packets of ember, like a cable, but it's completely uncontrollable. And if two ember packets collide, whatever that means, the conduit will detonate. That is awful. I never want to use that. Who needs exploding power cables? It's a terrible idea. This isolated materia, whatever it is, can be used to repair things at the anvil. It functions as a universal repair material. I have repair kits. I don't need that. Augments with the Dawnstone Anvil. And heat values. You can use an Inferno Forge to apply upgrades to things. Lots of things. And I just sniped another spammer. Aetherworks. This is where the Ethereum ore comes in. It requires some things, honestly. You have to build a collector structure with a fluid vessel, prism supports, prisms. It has to be exposed to the sky, wait for nighttime, and it collects impure Ethereum. And then, what is with, I mean, this is cute. This is the structure that you need. I don't know why it did it this way, though. But yeah, in order to collect Ethereum, you need a fluid vessel with supports and a prism. And then bricks, an edge, and a moonlight amplifier, which faces the prism on 4 sides. And then the 4 corners, you need a focus matrix. And this builds your Ethereum collector structure. Then you have to purify it with a centrifuge using the impure that you collected from the moonlight, plus molten electrum. Then you have to set up a multi-block forge, a 3x3 of Dawnstone blocks. And there are tons of other blocks that you need to run the forge efficiently and effectively, like heat sinks, the metal former, which is your forge block that you have to strike with a hammer, a heater, a cooler, there's also the Ethereum anvil, and then we finally get into smithing Ethereum tools. Remember those pickaxes I pointed out earlier? Molten depths can drop geodes. Geodes can be processed at the anvil to obtain the contents. Boundless Sky has vein mining. There's an Axe of Ancient Torrents, which applies bone meal around you for some reason. or the Axe of the Twisted Realm, which is a reverse lumber axe. You chop the base of the tree and it cuts down the tree from the top down. So this is the Thaumcraft Axe of the Stream. There's also a crown, which can store a potion effect. But it's an armor helmet. I like my armor. We can make Ethereum crossbows. The Raging Volcano. It fires in volleys, and it spits molten magma when fired. Impending Doom. Fires an extremely powerful arrow with fixed damage that ignores armor. And its damage bonus from the power enchantment is doubled. So Crossbow of the Impending Doom is just a railgun. Shovel of Ineluctable Changes. It's our replacement wand, but a shovel. And Shovel of the Perfect Machines will place a 3x3 square of, so it's a builder's wand. Essentially everything that Embers provides, Mind Fantasy or Astral Sorcery already have. And more easily, because I was able to get to them much, much sooner. Making Embers completely pointless by the time we get to it. We also haven't even unlocked pipes yet, and yet I was able to make and use pipes. And it certainly would have driven me mad if I couldn't have. So yeah, we finally unlocked Embers, and it doesn't even matter. We made our Avitas wand. What else can we do with Astral Sorcery? Surely this could be more exciting. There are some things that are better made than explained. Observatory. Must be focused to Lucerna. Also requires a lot more I have a lot of aquamarines, so that's good. I may not have to farm more. I think we'll hold off on the observatory for now. The big deal is this. Our containment chalice, which doesn't require a constellation attunement, and is honestly kind of cheap except for all the aquamarines, is a liquid tank. But it's not just a liquid tank. in addition to being a liquid tank, this thing can also feed the Starlight Infuser, consuming trace amounts from the tank instead of entire buckets from the structure. And if I put two chalices near each other, containing fluids that react, then they will just passively cause their reactions. So I could have a Starlight tank and a lava tank, and they would try to make aquamarine all on their own. Or sand, probably. Fluid interactions will generate from nearby chalices containing appropriate liquids, with slower loss than would be expected from the raw liquids themselves. Oh, mistakes were made. I need 6, not 16. And now Twitch is telling me I've gone offline entirely. This is another one I'm going to have to splice together, isn't it? That's okay. In light of these technical difficulties and everything else that's going wrong, I'm intending to close down right after I finish. Oh, I've reached level 30. Wait, why is 30 max level? There's a max level? I didn't know there was a max level. I thought in due time I could get everything. Alright, there's my 6 Rezo gems. The structure is complete. I'm just going to pop myself up to the Stellar Crafting Altar. And this will be where we pick things up tomorrow. Don't need this there. This can go over here. And yeah, we're just going to make 3 of these tomorrow. And that'll be our first task for the day. The other thing I want to do is figure out a way to reset my perk tree without resetting my level to 0. And I think this is the thing. Resonance is shifted to a new route to match the star used. Directed into new resonance. No, this just lets you change your base. I want to be able to respec, but keep my levels. So I can reapply all 30 of these levels more intelligently. Shifting Star. Shifting Star isn't just a respec, it's a complete reset. So those are my options for fixing my perk mistakes. We either reboot back to 0, starting completely over, or we move our root perk somewhere else, which doesn't even help. I spent 30 levels on grabbing all the roots to grow faster, mending, and stone enrichment. And that's all we have. I really didn't know there was a max. Oh well. Questions for later. Until next time.